Let me talk to you about the story that is dominating some of the newspapers today. The former Transport Minister, Nusrat Ghani, who was a Transport Minister until last year. She says that she was sacked as a minister because her Muslim woman minister status was former Transport Minister Nusrat.
And people should keep an eye on it.
Let me talk to you about the story that is dominating some of the newspapers today. The former Transport Minister, Nusrat Ghani, who was a Transport Minister until last year. She says that she was sacked as a minister because her Muslim woman minister status was...
Former Foreign Secretary, I know the Foreign Office will give that travel advice in the normal way, and people should keep an eye on it.
Let me talk to you about the story that is dominating some of the newspapers today. The former Transport Minister, Nusrat Ghani, who was a Transport Minister until last year. She says that she was sacked as a minister because her Muslim woman minister status was making colleagues feel uncomfortable. Did that happen or did it not?
Well, first of all, it's a very serious allegation, a very serious claim, and we take it very seriously. There can be no discrimination, Islamophobia or any other kind of discrimination in the Conservative Party. The Chief Whip has overnight made it clear that the allegation is in relation to him, this is Mark Spencer, and he categorically has denied it in what can only be described as the most strenuous terms. What we would say and what I would say is that if there's ever any complaint like this, particularly one as serious as this, a formal complaint should be made and it would then be investigated. And this relates back to 2020, and all I would just say as a matter of fact, no formal complaint has been made, but we take this incredibly seriously.
The allegations that she's making are very, very serious. I mean, she says, I was told at the reshuffle meeting in Downing Street, Muslimness was raised as an issue. My Muslim woman minister status was making colleagues uncomfortable. There were concerns that I wasn't loyal to the parties. I didn't do enough to defend the party against Islamophobia allegations.
Look, very serious points being made, claims being made, but all I can say is, first of all, the Chief Whip has come out publicly. I mean, it's quite extraordinary in my time in politics to see him come out and say, actually, this is a conversation that was had with me, and it is categorically untrue and indeed defamatory.
And at the same time, you've got Nadeem Zahawi, who's come out and said that this needs to be investigated properly.
And I think that's right, and we all feel moral support for anyone who has been subject to any kind of discriminatory treatment. But I think, and Nadeem's right, but of course, what the Chief Whip is saying is that Nuz was invited to make a formal complaint, and that is the way it will be investigated, and she has not made a formal complaint.
So do you think, why would she make it up then? I mean, if it has not happened.
I can't answer to that. All I'm trying to give you a very clear account of what the Chief Whip has said in response, and also, critically, the mechanism to make sure any serious allegation like this can and should be, and we would invite, and I would say, if Nuz wishes to do so, she should make a formal complaint so it can be properly investigated. And in fairness, the Chief Whip made that point to her back in 2020.
Should there be an investigation into this, because it is very clear that nobody quite knows what has happened and what hasn't.
And that's right, and these things should never just be played out in this way.
So should there be investigation?
Well, I believe actions, a claim like this, as serious as this, should, but it can only happen if the person making the complaint makes a formal makes it formally. That's when the procedures kick in. And just to be clear about this, that advice was given to Nuz back in 2020.
What does it say about the attitudes in the Conservative Party? Do you recognise this?
Do you know what? I don't. We had the Singh review conducted by Professor Singh into Islamophobia. He found no systemic issues with this.
And that review found that anti-Muslim sentiment remains a problem within the party.
And it's precisely because we take it so seriously, we conducted that review. It did say that there was no systematic Islamophobia, but it's precisely because we wanted to take this seriously, and we continue to do so, and I do personally, that we held that. And that's why we've got a mechanism. If there's ever a complaint of this magnitude, and I take it very seriously, a formal complaint should be made.
So you're not going to investigate unless she launches a formal complaint?
I think if I look professionally, I don't know how it works in the BBC, but I think I look across the board, it'd be very difficult to conduct such an investigation unless it is done with the support and the initiation of the individual concerned. I mean, I think in most walks of life that would be true.
Do you think she should make a formal claim? I mean, there's a huge amount of detail in the papers today. She'll be under a lot of pressure
today, and I feel for her, and I know her and I've worked with her in the past.
She already says in the paper today that she feels isolated on this, and that she has questioned whether or not she should remain within the party. Surely, are you encouraging her to come forward and speak openly?
Well, I think if she feels able to, she should put in a formal complaint.
And then it would be investigated properly?
Correct.